said it was A, rebellious? Raise your hand. B, hormonal? Raise your hand. D or C, defiant? Raise your hand. Or D, introspective? Raise your hand. All right, let's look at this. The correct answer was D, introspective. Someone who answered number 3, introspective. Raise your hand. Alexis, what evidence did you use to show she was introspective?
Okay, 448.
448. So everyone go to 448. Everyone turn your books to 448. What does introspective mean? What does that word mean?
Feelings and emotions.
Feelings and emotions. What about feelings and emotions? Something else. What does that word mean? Looking into your own. She has it written down. Looking into your own feelings and emotions. All right. So Alexis, what did you say on 448? What was your evidence?
The tanning itself is standing without but the woman in the case.
How does that show that she's using her own feelings and emotions? Or thinking about her own feelings and emotions? Yeah, how so?
I think it's saying that, like, even though she was going here with the plan and the person Lottie, she thought about it. And the woman heard her saying, don't do it while the crowd. We got separated from the crowd.
All right, exactly. So even though she was going to do it, she did it anyway. She's going back and she's thinking about it. She's debating whether her decision was right. Is that what you guys were thinking, Alexa? Okay. Let's go on number 4. Which item below best describes how Lisbeth feels on page 451? So everyone turn your books to 451. How many said it was A, compassionate? B, reflective. C, nonchalant. Or D, fortified. All right, well, half of you didn't vote, so we're going to go through this again. Everybody needs to be raising their hand. How many said it was A, compassionate? B, reflective. C, nonchalant. Or D, fortified. All right, who said it was compassionate?
D.
Why was it compassionate?
Because after she did what she did, she started feeling bad about everything that happened, and she started thinking about how the lady felt.
So what piece of evidence did you use to prove that?
The witch was no longer a witch, but only a broken old woman who had dared to create beauty in the midst of ugliness and sterility.
All right. So she started feeling bad, and she started understanding why the old lady had planted the marigold. So what was our overall theme of this story again?
Enjoy even though they were bad times, they could still bring beauty to the world.
Even though they were ugly times, they could still bring beauty to the world. So she finally realized that's what the woman was feeling, so she felt compassion for it. All right, so we're going to do the 2 open-ended questions together, or the first one together, and the second one you are going to do with your group. So we're going to do the first open-ended question together. Jonathan, will you read what number 5 says?
How are Elizabeth and Miss Lottie similar?
How are Elizabeth and Miss Lottie similar? So how do I start this off?
They are similar.
They are similar?
No.
Miss Lottie and Elizabeth are similar.
Okay, so everybody should be writing. Elizabeth and Miss Lottie are similar because. Yeah, why do you think they're similar?
I think they similar because they both have sorrow for themselves.
They had sorrow for themselves, and what happened at the end?
And then at the end, like they kind of like I don't know, they was like disappointed in what they was feeling.
Were they disappointed? How did they both feel at the end?
Happy
Happy about what?
that they did what they did. That she destroyed the garden.
No,
Dejanay, help her out.
they was happy because they can both express their feelings and don't be judged by it.
Through what?
Through the, what's his name called? Marigold.
The marigold. So they could both express their happiness through the marigold. So let's write that. So they are similar because both of them, both of the characters, express their happiness Elizabeth and Miss Lottie are similar because both of the characters express their happiness and the depression through the marigold. Now that we have our answer, what do we have to add? Evidence. So I want everybody to go to page 451 and try to find evidence to support this answer. They found happiness in the marigold. That they both found happiness in the marigold. And Dejanay and Zaria cannot give the answer. But I saw them looking. But they cannot come with the answer. And I can see Dejanay already has it. She's itching to say it. Providing evidence for this answer. You're not. What can we find to prove that they both found happiness in the marigold? Yes.
The last paragraph is there as with the image of those passionate yellow males return with a painful
Poignancy.
poignancy. For one does not have to be ignorant and poor to find that one's life is barren as the dusty yards of one's town, and I too have pleasant marigolds.
Perfect. So we're not going to write all of that because we only have 10 lines. We're just going to use that very last line from the story. So then we're going to write in the last line of the story. The very, very last one. And I too have planted marigolds. In the last line of the story, Elizabeth says, and I too have planted marigolds. We have our answer and we have evidence. What's the third thing we need to add? We need a so. So we need to explain why our evidence matches our answer. This is your chance to shine. This is your chance to actually show what you know and how you understand the story. So by saying this quote, what do we know about Elizabeth? What has happened to her?
She went through changes.
She went through changes. What kind of changes?
From a child to a woman.
Who's that?
So she went from being a child to a woman, and what can she appreciate now? The marigold. So she finally has grown up and she can appreciate the marigold. Did she respect Miss Lottie at the beginning of the story?
No.
How do we know she finally does at the end?
Because she's mature now. She's not in her childhood stage no more. She has began womanhood.
She has began womanhood, she is mature now, and she finally respects her by planting the marigolds. So our so statement can be something as simple as, by Elizabeth planting the marigolds,
By who?
Lisbeth.
I'm confused. Is that Miss Lottie Marigolds or is that Elizabeth Marigolds?
That's Miss Lottie's marigolds. They similar, so they both. Okay, but still.
Let me get from over here.
Alright, so my last part says, by Lisbeth planting the marigolds at the end, it shows she respects Miss Lottie and has become a woman. So our full answer would read, Lisbeth and Miss Lottie are similar because both of the characters express their happiness in the depression through marigolds. In the last line of the story, Lisbeth says, and I too have planted marigolds. By Lisbeth planting the marigolds at the end, it shows she respects Miss Lottie and has become a woman.
It's a lot.
So now someone that has never read this story knows the big idea of our story. You have all three parts, you have your opinion in there, and you have proof.
12:30. 11:57 to 12:30.
Alright, so what you guys are going to do now as a group, you are going to answer the second question. The second question says, how are Lisbeth and Miss Lottie different? How are Miss Lottie